Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to People Perspective in the Pulse, where the mic stays open, the conversation stays real, and the poetry flows naturally. From headache to heartache to healing, headlines to home life, we're talking about it all.
Yes, we
Well,
absolutely talk about 50, but go ahead.
definitely, and I think that the way he handled it was very smart because he didn't expose everything, and he taught me things I didn't even know. And I think what frustrated me about the criticism that was posed about the documentary was everybody was like, "Oh, well, he shouldn't have did that. He out here telling all Diddy business." And I said, excuse me, where'd these tapes come from? These tapes came out of the hands of the people that Diddy had recording for him that he ain't paid. What'd you think was gonna happen?
Right,
You for real? And all
right.
50 did was go, yeah, I'll pay you, bro. Let me talk to
Yeah,
Netflix right quick. We can put this together.
yeah.
Brilliant.
And and I'm gonna do my 50 story. My son won't come down. I told him to come down and get on for this story. But
Uh-oh.
what I don't know how long ago it was. We were talking, and look, I gotta put this in. I'm not saying I could date celebrities. I'm not saying I'm on celebrity status because I don't want nobody saying 50 would never date you.
Nah, she can. Don't let her bullshit you. She can. Same
I
way
have.
that dude could be same way that dude could be their private help. Yeah, she can.
I've dated a anyway. Um uh we were talking about different celebrities and I forget what 50 did. This was before this, but he did something and he was like, that would be one celebrity you could never date. He said you could never. He said I don't care how famous. He said if both of us get famous and then you can date all these celebrities, he said you can never date 50 Cent. He was like, we both cancers, we both petty, we
Hmm.
both ain't got good sense. And he said if he mess over you, it's gonna be a problem. He's like, you
Yep.
could never. He's I don't care. He's I don't care. He said he can come to the house today and ask you out. You can't date him.
Lord Jesus.
I was like,
Facts.
oh, I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. But you sure? I mean,
Hey, yeah, hey, he ain't checking for me, but just know my son would have a big problem with that if he was.
because he said, no, y'all gonna be trouble. And I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, in my head, 50 Cent has been my friend in my head since Get Rich or Die Trying. Just because, yeah, he was a drug dealer, but if you ever watch the way he moves, drug dealing for him was a means to an end.
Mm,
It wasn't a necessity. And I honestly believe like drug dealing has always been a means to an end. We have created this nasty pipeline where if you can't play basketball, you got to sell
mm,
drugs. Like there's got to be a way to get to that level of stability. It's not about the riches for some of them and the fame. It's about being able to buy their mama a house and put them somewhere safer. For some of them, they get
mm.
so addicted to the street life that they have to be there. And I'm not saying that based on my own personal, uh, attributes to it, because I was raised in the suburbs. I ain't gonna lie to you, you know what I mean? But I was gangster rap has always been. I'm out here corporate thugging.
Yeah,
So I go to work every day listening to Jeezy and the rest of them. Even my name Chamber 7 comes from the Wu-Tang Clan. For those of y'all who are serious enough to know anything about me, but like I have some form of affinity for the fact that I empathize with the struggle that the people in those situations have been in
mm-hmm.
and the way that they chose to get themselves out. Am I saying that what they did was right? Well, by legal law, no, I don't think that what they did was right. But at the same token, I understand what they had to do and then how fast they got out of it as soon as they were able to, and then how they gave back to the communities that they had to take from in order to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe we live in a capitalist society that's supply and demand. And as long as there's no demand, the supply will dry up because there's no demand for it. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe we have a government system that makes that shit happen, but that's a whole separate discussion. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
but I'm a uh take it a step further. So
please
I
do.
was at a Christmas party last month,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how. Oh, we had to do two truths and a lie, and I
Uh
was
oh.
like, I wrote my two truths and a lie, and then one of them was a man brought me a car. And they were like, "Did somebody buy you a car?" I was like, "Yeah, just not on Christmas." I was like, "It's a drug deal I used to date," and all of them were like, "What are you, a drug dealer? What are you?"
Drug dealer? Oh my God.
Yeah, so the people who were not in shock, my mama, my sister, one of my other friends that was there, because we grew up in the same neighborhood, and we were like, yeah, everybody was drug dealers growing up. In the 80s, everybody was drug dealers. I said my brother was the police. I would get on the school bus in the morning and somebody be like, saw your brother last night. I'd be like, what was you doing? Like, type thing.
Right.
Everybody was drug dealers. If you lived in a certain area, that's what they were doing.
Right.
I couldn't do it, and I didn't do it. And I normally didn't date drug dealers because of my brother. And this one in particular didn't know who my brother was till he actually came inside my house and was like, who that? On the wall.
That's my brother.
Like, he said, oh, I got to go. Everybody knew my brother.
He said, except for him, obviously.
No, when he saw the picture, he knew. So even when guys would come to talk to us, people know enough about people. So it'd be a group of us, and they'd be like, which one of y'all brother the cop? And they all point at me, and nobody would talk to me. So
okay, so your brother's the cop. Cool. See you later.
Leave you alone. We're going over here and talk to the rest of your friends.
Oh, that's cold.
But in my neighborhood, most people in my neighborhood were drug dealers. People in school, like this, that was just in the 80s. That's what life looked like in Fayetteville. I'm gonna say that because I can't speak for any other areas, any other places, any other people. This is where I was, off the Merc. You heard about it, you know about it. Don't play with it.
So do you feel like you were considered a narc because you were guilty by association?
No. They knew that if they messed with me, messed over me, or didn't it was gonna be a problem. More so than I was gonna take. Like my brother being the police, he was one of the police officers that they would talk to. He was one of the ones he'd walk up and be like, I'm gonna come back and you better not be here, type thing. It wasn't, he wasn't like out there cracking people over the head, acting crazy, doing all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, he was one of the police officers that in his off time, he was playing F the police. Like he was, be just driving through the neighborhood, F police. So
he'd be like, yeah, that's right. And then go put on his uniform and get to work.
He's still from where he's from. We still from where we from. He just happened to be the police. And they got to a point, they wouldn't even run from him no more. And that's how I found out from that guy I was dating. He was like, yeah, that's Speedy. I was like, Speedy? He was like, yeah, you run, he run. You jump over something, he jump over something. You swing from a vine, he gonna swing from a vine. He said, you cannot get away from Speedy. So the way they learn to deal with him, they just don't run. Because sometimes he just want to talk to you, see what's going on. And so he was like, we just stop running from him. Yeah. He said, we run, he got to chase us, it's a problem. If we stay there and talk to him, because he gonna catch you.
Problem. Yeah, he gonna catch you, which is gonna make it worse. Now he mad because you made him run. Now he pissed off.
Yeah. And then what made it even worse for me, my daddy was a corrections officer. So and he worked what's called the impact program. That's what it was called back in the day. So he had the young people. So they would be like teens to early 20s, and they take them through this boot camp thing.
Yeah. Like Scared Straight.
Yeah. So one time this dude got in there. He was like, oh, I know your daughter. I know your daughter. My dad said, you don't. No, you don't. Yes, I do. He said, no, you don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did to that dude.
How well you know my daughter?
That dude ain't even talk to me once he got out.
You bet not. Bet not. I know
you don't get no preferential treatment. Like you still locked up. You better act like you know. So yes, I couldn't get a break. My brother the police, my daddy's at the corrections for the young folk.
And then you worked in corrections.
After, well, in the military, that was my first job was corrections, and then older prison psychologist, which is why I wanted to be a prison psychologist. I didn't mind corrections and law enforcement. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I stay away from that side just because I feel like I never had any serious run-ins with the police or law
yeah,
enforcement. I think my mentality has always been good and evil is not as black and white as we've always been forced to believe, and I've seen so much stuff like change based on that, and that's what frustrates me. And
yeah.
and I think that people's perspectives
Mm,
are often warped based on where they grew up and who they are. And this is the segue into another conversation about this whole thing with Nicki Minaj recently showing up on the Turning Point stage, and what black people felt was shucking and jiving for them. And then
mm,
she lost 10.1 million followers or something crazy like that, and then deleted her Instagram.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, now me personally, I don't care. But for some
Yeah,
people, they're kind of like, oh well, she had all these people on her side, and then all of a sudden they left. Like, why would they leave? And I'm like, because they had the right to. She could have stayed for the like. She didn't just have 10 million followers. She could have stayed for the other millions of followers that she had, but she
right,
chose because she lost that many to just quit. Why?
right.
Like,
Because if
stand by
you,
how you felt.
that's what I was just about to say. If you believe in what you say and what you do and who you are, and you put it out there,
You mean tell me you ain't had an A&R team that said, "Hey, this might be a bad idea," or was there a bag involved? Because like, why did you feel comfortable as a black female rapper from Trinidad, which means that you could be considered what Donnie thinks is an immigrant, right?
yeah, well, he
You know what
thinks
I'm
is
saying?
one. Yeah,
Right. You catch what I'm saying?
yeah,
Whose
yeah,
name is Nicki Minaj, and your stage name is indicative of a sexual act, which is a part of it, and then a lot of your sexually explicit lyrics, and then you wind up on a conservative stage and wonder how come you lost 10 million followers. Like, why are you surprised? Like,
and
I don't get
and
it.
for me, why was this the line for those 10 million, 10,000 million? I don't know, them tens or whatever. Why was this
all
the line for
all the
them?
fight that you had with Cardi B talking about her child, the situation with Drake, the situation with all the men that you had dealt with, but this was the one where they
Yeah,
went, "That's it, I'm done.
yeah. What was it like?
I'm through." You
Part of who your husband is, who your brother is, what they've done, their lengthy record. Like,
Yeah, I was about to
this
say,
is,
wasn't her husband like
yep, don't say the word,
sexual-
we gonna get,
like he's yeah, that's what I thought. Like
yeah,
he was
one of them offenders. He on one of them lists.
on the list. And granted, some people could be in just to be in all fairness, some like the way our law social structure is jacked
Some
up,
people
but
could be, but I'm gonna say he is not. We've looked it up, but go ahead.
yeah, because what
I've
he
looked it
did,
up.
yeah, it falls in the line of what you think it would warrant for somebody to be
Yeah,
on that list.
yeah, Google it. We ain't about to inform y'all on
Yeah.
everything.
No, you can figure that out. Go ask your mama.
Ask your
Um,
mama. But and that's what I'm saying. Like, after all of these things that she's done, the people she surrounded herself with, the things that, this is where you draw the line. So I don't know.
but
Hey,
again, that's how they rationalize it, right?
absolutely. It's how they decided that, oh, this is it. Like,
So then, what does it take for people to rationalize stuff, in your opinion?
they don't put themselves in it. They can rationalize it for somebody. They can rationalize it in their mind for somebody else, but
Mhm.
not for themselves. But they don't realize, if you rationalize it's okay for somebody else, you're rationalizing it's okay, period.
I'm gonna take it from a different stance. I think
Go
they
ahead.
put too much of themselves in it, meaning
Mm.
it's not good enough for you, and that's why you don't agree, or you would never do that. Like, I would have to ask them. Remember when was it? Who was it? I want to say it was Jasmine Sullivan. One of these singers. I, it might not
Oh,
be
about
her.
singing at the inauguration thing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And she sang at that inauguration, and black folk was like, "Nah, we don't tolerate that. You doing the wrong thing there, sister." Now, there's a
Right.
lot of black conservatives that are out there like, "Yeah, we believe in this and that and the other," but yeah, those who are in entertainment, I earnestly believe if you want to be safe, you need to stay out of politics, because boy,
But they didn't
these
care.
people,
So and a lot of people spoke about it. A lot of people turned on her. A lot of people blackballed her. And then the next time the same person got voted in, they went and did the exact same thing. And
yep,
nobody blinked an eye.
mm-mm, just
So,
a
like,
single
the
word.
same people who vilified her for doing it did it.
Had
And
to turn around
nobody
and do it.
blinked an eye.
But see, I think again, it's the difference of whether or not it was done in the light or the dark. How long had Diddy been operating in the quote unquote dark?
Right. And I will say, so I don't know how deep this is going to be. I don't know how deep you want to go. Bump it. So, and this is partly why I say ask your mama. So, a lot of these people, I will say, especially in the 80s and 90s, my generation, we have always been told, don't say nothing. Don't tell what's going on in this house. You can't speak out. You
Right.
can't do this. We've always been told to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Not me, because my family. Look, I'm gonna say this. I thank the Lord for the people that I've been around, the people they placed in my life throughout
Mm-hmm.
my life, to
Mm-hmm.
where I've been safe
Mm-hmm.
almost everywhere. Pretty much everywhere I've been. Like, I haven't had to deal with some of this stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I say ask your mama, it's funny, but it's not always a joke. Because ask your mama who touched on her. Ask your mama who did things to her that she didn't want, and she couldn't tell it. So a lot of times these people rationalize it, like you said, it could be
Yeah.
because they rationalize it for themselves. Well, I couldn't tell, I couldn't say nothing, I wasn't supposed to do this. And now they're saying, why they telling, why they doing this,
Yeah.
why, and then putting it on her, because a lot of victims put it on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I haven't heard people talk about with Cassie, like they like, even in the documentary, it went to, she was with this person and Diddy took her from this person. She was still 19. So she was probably with this dude when she was 17 or 18. He was 27, 28 years old. He was a grown man before he introduced Cassie to Diddy.
Ryan Leslie?
He was a grown man. He was
He was.
27, 28.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
So depending on how long
Damn,
he
I
knew
didn't even
her.
think about that. You know that?
Hey,
You're right.
I like math.
You're right.
As
You're
soon
right.
as they said him, I said, well, how old was he when he was with her?
Yeah. But okay, so I think, and that's the other thing that I didn't know about Diddy either.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Diddy got a nasty habit of always picking up somebody's ex.
Or at least trying. So,
Right.
and that's not even where I was going with this.
I know.
Okay. Oh, you'll be finished. Okay.
Yes, no, I want you to finish.
It goes into, this is, and I don't know how to say this, because not only do I see it in regular life as a therapist, all this other stuff, and people know what it means to be groomed. She was already being groomed.
Absolutely.
She was already thinking,
100%.
and she latched on to this man who was going to give her, and people are like, oh, well, he was giving her fame, he was giving her this, that's why she was there. But she was already with somebody who told her that, so that's why she was doing it. At 17, 18, not me, but how many people out there, you might ask your mama, how many people out there would have just went along with stuff because you were going to get famous, or you were going to get something out of, like, you thought you were going to get something out of it. People think about getting something out of something and not realizing what somebody got to go through to get it. And because she was already being groomed, because again, we don't know how long she was with this dude. Mm-hmm. We just know she was 19 when Diddy stole her. And people use that word stole her as if she was property. So did she belong to this man?
Because she could have said no at any time, right?
Could she?
No, because she was already in a state of grooming.
Listen, she was already in a state of being captive. And people think that, and I'm going to say, ask your mama, ask your auntie, ask your best friend, ask anybody that you know that's been in a domestic violence relationship, anybody that's been in a place where they felt they couldn't leave, anybody that felt or believe that they didn't have control of their own life and that this was the only answer and the only way. And for y'all to sit there and say, oh, she was a participant.
Mm-hmm.
Ask your mama.
Yeah. I'm gonna even say this.
Go ahead.
Ask your daddy too.
Yes.
If he's a real man and he's willing to open up to you, ask your daddy. And this is the reason why I say that. For those of y'all who ever watched it, if you notice, I put a lot of references based on TV shows and stuff that I've watched. If you actually watched Baby Reindeer, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you actually watch Baby Reindeer to the end, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Ask your father. And if he's a real man and he's willing to let his guard down and be vulnerable enough with you, he might tell you a thing or two yourself. Like men are not immune to it. Terry Crews tried to tell y'all, and the men vilified him for that shit.
Ooh, yes.
Right? And a lot of the reason why men don't tell about SA is because of the fact that they feel like it makes them feel like less of a man, and it's detrimental to us because that's the image that we portray is a part of the reason why it wards off some of the enemies. Like, for instance, and I'm going to attribute this to nature, a butterfly's wings are designed like that with the intention of not being beautiful, but to look like a larger predator so that large predators don't attack them.
Right.
Well, a man's reputation as somebody big and strong and able to handle themselves, and that reputation is supposed to ward off potential enemies. That doesn't mean it wards off all of them. So if then I come out and say, well, I was SA'd and that seems like a vulnerable weakness, then all of a sudden it's like blood in the water. It makes it feel comfortable for these predators to be like, oh, so somebody tried you. So that means you're triable.
Right. And I've never been able to explain this, and I don't want people to take this in the wrong way, but they're going to take it whatever way they take it.
Facts.
And I was going to preface it with people know who to try, but they don't actually know who to try because they're going to try, but they know by the reaction they get how far they can go. I will say that. And people who have been SA'd as a child, abused as a child, something happened to them when they were a teen. If people who have been in situations where they felt helpless and then was not helped after,
yes,
they are more vulnerable to those types of tryings because sometimes they think they don't deserve better. They think this is what's supposed to happen because it happened before. So it's supposed to happen this way. This is how life is. This is how I see things. This is what always happens to me. So people are going to try you because best believe, baby, I've been tried. And it ain't worked out well for everybody.
Let me tell you something. I've been tried too.
See what I'm saying?
People think that shit only happens to women. Nah, I've had some
No,
people
it
try
happens.
me.
Yeah.
And it was men and women, and I had to be like, no.
Right. And sometimes it's how you say it. And you know if you're, and I don't want to say it's a right or a wrong way. So like
figure out a way to do it in such a way that still keeps you safe. I see where you're going with that. Yes.
And even in the story that I told you before about the guy running away from the lady, he couldn't stay or treat her the way he wanted to because of who he was and how people would look at him for talking to somebody like that. So he couldn't absolutely be like, get away from me, don't talk to me, stop talk, because of one, he's a man, and then how people will look at him like, why are you treating her like that? So you have to be mindful. And I'm gonna go back to what show was it? It was one of them shows, and an older dude was flirting with a young lady, and we had this conversation, and you was like, well, she was laughing. She wasn't laughing because she wanted
nervous
the attention.
energy. Right. It was nervous energy.
As women, and she was on doing the podcast. She was on live, and for her being young and not knowing how to do it professionally, how to do it in this stage, how to do it in this. Who was it? Cameron? it was somebody who jumped in and was like, yo,
Oh,
stop.
yes, it was. It was Cameron and it was Anthony Broner. And
Yes.
it was Cameron's co-host.
Yes.
And Anthony Broner, the boxer, I guess he just kept like
Talking
flirting
about
with
how
her.
beautiful she was and trying
And
to
he
ask her
wouldn't
out.
stop. And
And she
Cameron was
was
like, yo,
trying
bro,
to,
like
yeah,
her
as
boyfriend is
women,
in the
we,
crowd.
right. And not knowing, because we don't always know what side the people around us are on. And this was her job. And this was somebody they got on the show. You know, she couldn't just come out and say it. The fact that she had him back her up and say it for her made it okay for her to say it. So sometimes as women, we're not always able to just say no.
Hey, shouts out to Cameron too for that, because that was.
Hey,
Let me tell you something. That was expert level cutoff game. You hear me? Let me tell you something. Cameron, who's known for being a rapper, not saying he ain't stronger than that,
right,
told a professional boxer, hey, bro, you need to chill.
Right.
On a live broadcast.
Yes.
It was like her man is in the audience. Like, I need you to chill. He gave him warning after warning after warning. And it was finally like when he reached in the bag and gave him his money right there on camera, I was like, this nigga's
but if she would have done it, she'd have been all kind of bees, stuck up. How could you do that? How you talk to that man like that? As women, even in
the way you handle it,
we still have to make sure that we're okay in how we handle it, what we say to this person, the whatever can come to us from that person. And then also another thing that people don't think about or look at, and you know, I think about it all the time because we have this discussion all the time. I have to also protect the people that have my back.
Oh, facts.
Including you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Because I told you after we went to this concert together, and I told you this man had pushed me to get up in front to see Yo-Yo, but I didn't tell you till we left.
Because boy,
I knew what. Yeah, I know. I know what could have happened.
Who pushed you? That's all I would have said. Who pushed you?
No, you did say that. You were like, who? We were leaving out. You were like, where he at? Where? I said, that's why I didn't tell you while we were inside. Because you would have drugged that man. And I already know he couldn't fight. Because any man that pushes a woman out of the way at a standing room only concert to get closer, you already a B. I already know you would not do that to a man. Absolutely not. So I already knew, and this was when you were in the prime of your MMA stuff. When you
when I was
you
fighting,
was like all the way in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, he would break this man in half. And I had to think about all this because I wanted to say, and there were dudes around me that knew me, and I was like, y'all see this? And they were just like, so that's what I'm saying. As women, we have to check our surroundings to see who's going to back us up, if anybody.
Right.
But also protect those who we know is going to back us up so they don't go to jail or prison, you know.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. I had a situation.
We're stuck in the middle as to how we respond in certain situations. So getting back to Cassie, she was already groomed. She was already property. She was already being told, like, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. And all she did was, she didn't do it. All they did was change masters.
That's it. She just got sold from one plantation to the next.
Absolutely. And I don't care how y'all look at it. If you don't know anything about being in domestic violence relationships, ask anybody, not just your mama, ask anybody.
Or just
ask anybody.
And I'm gonna say it like this too: domestic abuse situation, because the reason I differentiate between violence and abuse, and you correct me if I'm wrong, just on a professional standpoint, is because I think one of the things that we also don't take into account is the psychological effect of having somebody having control over everything that is your existence, while not actually displaying any physical violence to you. So somebody who has control of the finances that basically take over everything. Like one of the frustrations I've often had in my professional career in my 9 to 5 is I've often heard managers say things like, well, don't take it personally. And I'm like, it's pretty fucking personal because this job pays for everything I own. So how you gonna tell me it's not personal?
Right.
So I take that and I empathize with people in household situations where if you think about Cassie, if she was 16, 17 years old, that basically means she's never been by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like when has she been on her own
Right.
and quote unquote made her own money without
Mm-hmm.
having to be at the behest of somebody who had control of her entire existence, her
Right.
whole image? This nigga
Right.
told her shave the half of your head.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
Man, let me tell you something. I wish a nigga would tell me shave my beard off again. That check better look right, cause you ain't finna tell me to shave this bitch off for just no damn reason.
Right.
I had a TV show do that to me one time,
I know.
once, and it was
I
worth
remember.
it. But I was mad as shit the whole time I did it because when I originally put in for it, they basically told me, yeah, you can have that. But then when I got there, they were like, nah, this is the 50s. Black men with beards look like ragamuffins. I shaved the shit off. I look like a 12-year-old for the next
You
3 months.
did. You did.
It was crazy, yo.
It was hilarious. I
So,
loved it though.
man, and
Loved
that was
it.
only a few years ago, and people still
I
they was
know.
trying, like even to this day, people try to check me based on what I look like, and that I think that goes back to what we were saying.
Yes.
It's all based on like if it wasn't for these strands of grays in here and just having a beard, I ain't like some people joke with me as if my feelings would be hurt if you say, oh well, at least I got hair, and I'm like, nigga, I got hair too. Mine looks more luxurious than the shit that's on top of your head that look like a Brillo pad. I'm
Right.
actually glad I lost my hair because this is the only way that people take me seriously as a grown ass man.
Listen, you see, I don't know
Right.
if you can see my gray or
I
not.
see it. I see you,
Yeah.
Silver. I see you.
Yes.
I see you.
That's why I don't dye my hair, because
Same.
in my profession and then trying to be an adult, people don't listen to you if they think you're a little kid. So
And even now, they sometimes still treat me like a little kid, and I
yep.
have to remind them, hey, bro, I don't know if you notice or not, but I've been doing this for like 25 years, cuz
Mm-hmm.
like I'm gonna need you to like look at my resume. I've changed the trajectory of stuff with
Yes.
an invention or an idea. Like I need you to pay attention. And it's just
They
being
don't.
able to display that, and they don't, and
Right.
empathize with other people's like mentalities and professional abilities. And going back to what we were saying, like we want to make this judgment call as far as like what Cassie was thinking and what she was doing, but
Right.
you don't know what mindset she was in. I'm not making excuses for anything, but what I'm saying is maybe there's some things we just don't know. And I think
This
even you were saying,
absolutely.
like, how can some people like vie for what Diddy was doing? And I'm like, I can't. I don't
They
know about the rest.
they riding for him. They riding it out with
I
him.
still don't
And
understand it.
at the same time, and like all of these people who have these questions, like how could she stay? You got somebody beside you right now. You like, why you still with him? Why you still with him? Because he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this. And
Because he's familiar.
right. But then but you say if you were Cassie, you would have left. No, you wouldn't have. Everybody stayed in a relationship longer than they should have for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not all of them were always abusive, but sometimes you stayed in longer than you should. Sometimes people stay longer than they should out of fear. Some people, there's different reasons, and to try to just minimize her life with a soundbite like, oh, I would have, you don't know what you would have done. You don't
Because
know
here's the
what
question: why are we putting in so much? Why did we put so much emphasis on Cassie's ability to make a decision, but not so
Mm-hmm.
much emphasis on all of the support staff that saw the abuse that she was going through and they didn't say shit?
Right.
The only reason we put so much emphasis on Cassie is because I feel like fame makes people feel like you're closer to people than you actually are.
Well, most of the times people do put more emphasis on the victim, no matter what it is, in if they're celebrities or not.
Yeah, that's true, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
I really do feel like we should take into account all the different facets of it from all different aspects. Like, don't get me wrong, it's clearly, to me, it's clearly obvious that, Diddy has some serious setbacks, but I feel like there were so many markers where he could have been stopped, and he just blew right through them. There were so many checkpoints.
Well, the stop signs wasn't that big. They weren't really trying to stop him. Even the
No,
people over him, once
that's because they were benefiting from it.
yeah.
Andre Harrell,
Right. The people that could have, and look, we
I-
ain't getting too far in this because I like my car and I like life. So
facts, you're right.
we ain't gonna go too far. But I will say another one that irritated me, and this was actually in the documentary, when the jurors said she didn't believe Charlie. What was her name? The one that was the assistant.
Yeah, I think it was Charlie. I can't remember her name was,
Something
but
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, a
So
lot
the
of people
jury
said
was
they didn't
like,
believe her either.
yeah, they were like, I didn't believe her because she was crying too much. Like it just happened. Let me tell you something. There is a such thing called compartmentalization.
Yep.
When a lot of people, I use it on a regular basis because that's just me. But sometimes people use it as a defense mechanism and to take care of themselves. People are absolutely able to file away traumatic events to where it's in the back of their mind and it doesn't come up until it does.
And when it does, it feels like it just happened yesterday.
It just happened because guess what they did? They filed it away so far, buried it so deep.
Yep.
This is not a good thing at all. Like you shouldn't be doing this. You got to work through some of this stuff. Cause I always tell people you got to work through it before it works through you.
Right.
And for her, that was it working through her. Cause now she had to talk about it and she never worked through it. She never worked on it. She didn't do anything with that information. And when people started asking and it had to come up, this is what it looks like. It is absolutely what it looks like. I am in therapy sessions every day, and I can talk to somebody that something happened to them 10, 15 years ago, and they're crying like it's happening now. So don't tell me that you think she's lying because she was crying like that. Like, this is absolutely what it looks like when you decided, oh, I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah.
You got to work on it before it works on you. And it was working on her in that very moment. And I hate that she had to go through it in that like that. But she probably does need to go. All of them, everybody in there need to go see somebody. And y'all, how I am. I am not there.
I think all of us need to go through some therapy. And I feel like the only reason some people say that you shouldn't go to therapy is because of what they have that they don't want to tell people about, or primarily because like because of the bad actors in the therapy region that have done some things that are negative. There are some people that we've talked about in the past that aren't actual doctors, but they're going around therapizing people and doing stuff that's not
what we doing that today, or you want to do this another
time? No, we can do that later. But like some recent actions of that individual, like
I'm always ready now.
I know. I see you warming up to reach for the pistol now.
You
but
see me rocking. I'm over here
I feel you like, please, because I get sick and tired of them always trying to say they know what we doing. No, we can touch that later. But I just feel it. I mean, we can if you want. Because I just saw not too long ago, I saw a picture of her at a party, and I was just the way she was dressed. I was like, oh my God. And you walking around telling people you a therapist, like there's a certain professional decorum you should have. If that was no, but wait, because I know what you're about to say, because I had a female friend that jumped on there and she was defending her, like, women should be allowed to wear whatever they want. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you talking, but at the same time, if you saw Michelle Obama out looking like that, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all would have pulled the old girl to the side and been like, you all right, ma'am? You okay? Because there's some women that we just see a certain way and we don't ever want to see them like that. Like,
well, Michelle, she is not.
That's what I'm saying. She ain't no Michelle Obama, but she holds herself to a standard similar to Michelle Obama.
But guess
she
what?
holds herself to that standard.
That's the thing.
Projects that standard to us like she is.
You can hold yourself to whatever you want to hold yourself to, but people are still going to perceive you how you show up.
But but see, this is my gripe. If that's who you are, cool. Be that. I'm fine with that. I have no gripe with Vanessa Williams scantily clad. She's an actress. She's a model. That's what she been doing. But don't walk around and she's professional. She holds a certain level of decorum. You can
She
do that.
does. She does.
But don't be out here criticizing women who dress like that and talk about men who go after women who dress like that, and then you turn around and dress like that. Like, that's where I get backwards. Like, I'm confused. Hold on. Like, I'll make it more personal. There were dudes who would pick on me because I liked a thicker woman. They would dog me for liking a thicker woman, and then guess who they married?
Right.
A thicker woman.
Yeah.
I'd be like, nigga, that's what I was talking about. And they'd be like, oh, this? Oh, my bad. I mean, nah, nigga, shut up. That's what I've been trying to say the whole time.
Right.
But you criticize me.
Mm-hmm.
You over here dogging me for the same thing you ended up being with anyway. So I feel like a lot of times, and I meant to say this in the segue too. You had made a statement earlier about how a person, because you can tell by how animated I am about this part. There are times when I've brought up things that have happened to me, and that emotion comes back to the point where I find myself like in it again, and I'm enraged, and you like, Sean, calm down, and I'm like, nah, you ain't gonna talk to me like that, and you have to bring the person back because it feels like it just happened just now.
Right.
The disrespect, the bullshit, you hear something that brings you right back to that moment, and you like, nah, I'm never gonna let this happen again. And and it's not just crying. Sometimes it comes out as anger. Sometimes it comes out as frustration. If you see that in your partner, you need to ask your partner. If your partner reacts to you in such a way that doesn't seem normal with respect to whatever the scenario is, you might want to ask what trigger you just stepped on.
Because you don't know, and sometimes they don't know. They don't know
right.
what it was. Sometimes they
Sometimes they might not even know it's happening. I've literally, you've seen me frothing at the mouth, and you be like, Sean, calm down, and I didn't even realize I was mad.
Yeah. Look, we did that today. Remember, I asked you about the old situation. I was like, "Why didn't you show up?" And you were like, "Something was off. I didn't know how to verbalize
I didn't know how to say it. I had no
idea."
idea.
And I was like, "Well, damn! I wish you'd have told me because I showed up." And I was like,
"Where's
Chamber?" Because I didn't want to be there either.
So why didn't you tell me? Jesus Christ!
Well, I thought you were gonna be there and you were gonna help, and it was
that's fair.
Because with you, in my mind, you were going to be able to take control of the situation in a way that I can't, because unfortunately, one of the people that we were dealing with see men differently than they see women. They probably would never admit this.
I got it. You know what? But and I'm glad you're telling me this, because I never realized that about myself.
Yes, you would have showed up and you would have been able to direct the situation when I'm trying to direct the situation. And this kind of goes back to when I say women have to look at things from all angles. We have to know what women run a lot of things.
That's right.
People don't understand it. We have to know who to put in place at what time and what portion, how much of that person, who to put here. And we're really directing it. Because you know how they say Michelle Obama was running.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but 100%. She knew who her partner was and how to put him in that place to be able to do the things. Women run a lot of things.
They were an effective team.
Yes.
Here's my problem, though. This is my only issue with that. Say that.
Right.
Don't act like you ain't in control of what your man does. And then when he fuck up some shit, you go, oh, I ain't had nothing to do with that. Yes, you did. You absolutely. Do you know how many wars were fought? I'll give you a perfect example. It's one of my favorite examples of a partnership where the woman was actually a part of the decisions that the man did. If you've ever seen the movie 300, everybody knows the classic scene where he kicked the dude in the pit, said, "This is Sparta," and he kicked him in there. But there's one part of that scene, and this is the reason I love film. There's a nuance in that scene right before he did that most people miss. Because right before King Leonidas kicked that messenger down the pit, what do you think he did?
Looked at his wife.
He looked right in the camera and then he did this. It was quick. He did a blink. He looked at his wife. His wife looked at him. There was a moment between them, and she did this. And in that quiet, quick exchange, she gave him permission to start a fucking war with an entirely different race of people. That split second decision. Had she not done that, they weren't going to go to war. Right. But King Leonidas was like, I need to check with my wise counsel. He looked over her. They made that decision together, and they started a war by kicking that dude down there. And I don't think people realize how often, like when they talk about a man having a partner, that's a partner.
Right.
Here's the kicker. I'm gonna add this last piece.
Okay.
That's also what submission looks like.
Absolutely. Submission is the person who submits has the control.
Please repeat that.
That's why I always let people know that when I get into another real relationship, not in the beginning, I am a submissive partner. Submissive has the control. Don't play with it.
And me as a dominant, and it took me years to understand this. The only reason I'm careful with who I choose as my submissive partner is because I have to be aware of the weapon that I've become.
Yes.
With the resources, with the like, even you telling me this now, you're saying, well, Sean, you being in the room, you would have led it a certain way. But me with a submissive partner, that partner now uses me as the tool and wields me a certain way because she knows the right words to say to get me to go in a particular direction. But I need to make sure that the partner that I have uses me appropriately, because at the end of the day, that's going to change people's perception of me.
Yes.
And I could walk away from
No, let me finish, because this is what I was trying to say earlier. You can end up walking on stage and slapping Chris Rock. That's what could happen. That's exactly what could happen from a look from your wife, from your submissive partner. That's what can happen when you look over at your partner and your partner's like,
that's it. That's
and then
it.
Everybody in trouble.
That's it. That was a good one. Oh, I like that. No, I like that. I like how you wrote that in. I didn't even think of that one. That's good. You're right. Because technically she was the reason he went up there. Now, here's the funny thing. She was the reason that Will Smith went up there and slapped that dude.
Yeah.
But who took the brunt of the punishment?
That's what I'm saying. You have to be protective of your partner as well as him protecting you.
Because if she was smart, she would have jumped up and said, Will, sit down.
She did.
This ain't the time or the place.
Because that's your partner. I don't have to jump up. I can look at you and be like, just a slow. I give you don't worry about it.
Right.
I'm gonna do that. Like we're gonna handle that later.
We're gonna handle that later.
You know what the look is.
Right.
Yeah.
And then not only did he do it, but he didn't get any approval for having done it.
No.
She wasn't like, yeah, that's right. That's my man. You better watch how you talk to my man. No, she was like, whatever.
And that goes back to what you just said of how you wield your partner in a partnership.
And a lot of people get it backwards. I always cringe when I hear people say, like even talking to my son about his relationship and just talking to men in general. And they're like, man, yeah, I'm going to be the dominant in my family. I said, are you going to be dominant or are you going to be domineering? Because there's two different things.
Absolutely.
Because as a dominant, you still need to speak to your wise counsel, and your wise counsel should be your partner who's right next to you.
Should be. And if it's not, it's on you.
And that's on you. And if you don't feel comfortable who your wise counsel is, choose somebody else.
Right.
But that's where I get really concerned, because I'm like, I know me. I will get into a rage. And if you don't know what to do appropriately to stop it, it will get worse or it'll turn on you. And not for nothing, I've had partners that I gave that permission to, and they turned me into a fucking lunatic. There was shit that I did in relationships that I would have never done to anybody. But they pushed the right buttons, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I've literally stopped and sat down and went, "Who was that?" And how many people listening right now have been in situations in a relationship, men or women, where you look back at that relationship and you went, "I don't even know who that was. I don't
Or
even
why?
know why did I do that."
Mm-hmm.
But the reason you did that is because you made yourself so vulnerable that now that intimacy that you've had with this person, that vulnerability, y'all have become so interwoven that
Mm-hmm.
now what they want you to do, you're doing. But it might not have necessarily been by your
Choice.
your choice. Now it's their choice, and that's the danger in being with a partner where you're not vulnerable to the right person. They got you moving in the wrong place, and then you lose that ability to make a choice because they're the
Yes.
ones choosing for you. I mean,
Ooh. And that
yeah,
goes all the way back round to
that's
Cassie.
why I said it.
Some
That's why I said
Yeah,
it.
that's why I was like, "Ooh, you right there." And I'm we're gonna wrap this up because I'm gonna break this down into two.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a two-parter right here, boy.
yeah. Another thing, and I bring this up a lot when I'm watching divorce court.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of which judge says it. I don't know if it's Star, Faith, or Maybelline, but one of it might be all three of them say it.
Probably Maybelline. Yep.
These people, and this is sane advice for everybody. Everybody talks about how they mostly women, not a
Mm-hmm.
lot of men, mostly women talk about how they want a rich man. I want this man to have this so he can take care of me. And the judge always says, you don't understand what comes with that money. Control comes with that money. And as I think it's Judge Star, because it's like she'll be like, he or she who holds the purse holds the control. And everybody talk, oh, I want, and that was another thing. Like I was listening to the Christmas song, uh, what you gonna get that girl for Christmas? What you gonna get that boy for Christmas? So, that was last
Mm-hmm.
month. So
Mm-hmm.
I heard the song, and then in her thing, she's running down, such and such a wig, such and such 10 fingernails. Like, and she talks about all the things she wants for Christmas, and one of them is a rich man.
Right.
And I'm like, a lot of women
Mm-hmm.
ask for rich men. I ain't even gonna hold you. I put that in my one little thing. So I want my man to be rich.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you don't understand what comes with that rich man.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's you lose control of who you are, because sometimes that rich person wants a person who's going to wait on them hand and foot, who looks a certain way all the time, who has to be the, like, you can end up losing your sense of who you are as a person. So, and people have done that for people who ain't rich. So again, ask your mama.
Right.
So as we talk about all of this, going back to the reckoning and rationalization,
Mm-hmm.
we've all done it. We've lost ourselves in relationships. We've lost, and maybe not to this extent, but that's because they didn't have this amount of power and money.
Facts.
So
And
just
power
think,
and money is very unique because power and money amplifies who you really are.
yes.
P.
So
Diddy
just
didn't become that way because he had power and money. P. Diddy was
no.
always that way. It just
Oh
now
yeah.
he had the means and resources to do it.
Right.
He
Right.
always been a corny dude. Everybody always thought that about him.
Anytime, and even like when I met him, it was, if I was somebody different, I would have been at the hotel with him. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
It does.
Because of the way it happened, I was standing off to the side by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else came. He didn't come up to me. Somebody else came to me,
Yep, that's how he
put this
said they
thing
do it.
around my neck to go backstage, and was like, here's your pass. Somebody wants to meet you backstage. Like that, for somebody else,
Yeah,
that would have got them, because that was all they would have needed.
but you were never in a position the way Cassie was. You didn't have that grooming.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, if I
Yep.
was somebody else, if I
Right.
wasn't raised how I was raised, if I didn't come from where I came from, if I hadn't met celebrities before, like if this was, oh my goodness, if I was starstruck or anything
Right.
like that,
Right.
even for a backup dancer,
Right.
that would have been enough.
Right.
Just having somebody else. And I know that was orchestrated.
Of course. It was the feeling of
Because
being chosen. They actually brought that up in the special too.
yeah. It's
What's his name? The producer. They
yes.
said he was wearing the hat and he would go around, he would pick the women, and that's how he picked the women. That's so what you saying tracks. That's how
Yeah.
he would pick people. He'd be like,
He
yeah,
was doing this at
you come with us.
19, 20 years, or however old he was in the 80s. So he's not much older than me. So he had to be, I was like 17, 18. So he had to be like 19, 20. So, but because I am who I am, and I'm not, even at that age, I knew better. I knew not to go anywhere by myself. I knew not to be impressed by much. I knew the power that could be had by certain things. And having older sisters, an older brother, like parents who taught us different things and showed us enough to where we weren't impressed by much. Because anybody else would have been impressed. Oh, they came and got me. They picked me out, put this around my neck. Oh, I went backstage. He invited me to the hotel. This, that, and like anybody else would have been at that hotel. And I literally said, look, y'all got to go watch the hymn. I'm going to tell you anyway. I literally was like, because he was like, oh, you can ride back with me on the bus. I was like, no, I got to get my friends. No, they can come. No, I need to let them know where I'm at, who I'm going with, and we will meet you at the hotel.
Exactly.
He did not, but I said that.
That was smart because it's probably because you realized ahead of time, and I think that is the key, is to not be. You need to have enough steadfastness in your soul that there is no level of currency or fame that you should ever sell your morality for.
I like that.
Ever.
And it's not, and I'm not going to say,
like even Indecent Proposal. Remember that movie long time ago where the man was like, I'll sell you my wife for like X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they'll pay you the cash. Yeah, that's a life-changing amount of money.
Right.
But that moment in time that you sacrificed your wife changes the course of your entire life.
But
is it worth it?
But that also goes back to women being able to be sold, bought, transactioned, all that. But I was gonna say, for me, I think I was a silly teenager, but we knew to move in unison.
That's right. But you knew to move as a unit.
Yeah. Because even though I was standing by myself, I looked like I was alone. My friends were up front. Yeah, I wasn't.
And that says a lot about you having the appropriate, and I think we talked about this, having the appropriate like cast of, like, even men, I think we need to move as a unit. Too many times men are out here on an island by yourself when you shouldn't be. I tell my homeboys all the time. I even tell my son, I don't care how many fights we get into. Nigga, you going through something, you need to call me.
Absolutely.
We can fight about it later. And, and I'm even going to say this. Check this out. I've told partners, my woman, my wife, my girlfriend, I don't give a shit what argument we're in. If something happens, you need to come get me now.
Yeah.
Don't let your attitude problem with me preclude you being safe.
Exactly.
And at one point I was at, and you had to check me on this. Even after that relationship dissolved, I still carried that mantle. Like, nah, they call me, I'm there. You like, nigga, that's the other nigga's job. That ain't your job no more.
Right. Unless they're in front of you or something. But yeah.
Not even then. Where that nigga at that you picked? Call him. Don't call me. I ain't finna die for you. You didn't even want to stick around.
Right. And I will say,
I say that to men now. Hey, there is nothing wrong. Stand up for your woman, regardless of what her attitude is. Y'all can have a fight later, but at least make sure she's safe. You know what I'm saying? And I say that to both men and women. I tell that to my son and his woman. I don't give a shit what the fight's about. Make sure they're okay.
Yeah. And that's
period.
And I will say that's kind of how I grew up. Like, we fighting in the house, but something happened to one of us, all of us going out there.
Oh,
same with my neighborhood. I fight with the girl down the street, but somebody from another neighborhood coming to fight one of us, you gonna get everybody. Yeah, and that's just how it's always been. But I will say, I probably did tell you to leave them chicks alone, but I will say I could probably call any one of my exes right now if I needed them for something and they be ready to ride.
But I think, but see, there's a difference though. I think and I'm glad you brought that up. I've seen the interaction that you've had with your exes,
Yeah.
and there's a certain level of respect still there.
Yes.
You respect them, and they respect you.
Yes.
In my humble opinion, and my exes might tell you something different, they have the right to their own opinion about me. We both don't see the dissolution of that relationship the same.
Right. Right.
I still hold a level of loyalty to them that they feel I don't have for them, and they have zero respect for me.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'm saying this based on what they told me.
Right. Right.
They said to me, well, I had one tell me, well, I feel like I just fell out of love with you. And I was like, and in my opinion, this is my thought, you don't fall out of love with somebody, you leave. You make the conscious decision, I don't want this anymore.
Right.
Because and I say that as somebody who has loved people who stopped loving him.
Right.
And I
And well,
think all of us have been through that, where you, even in spite of everything they did to you, they treated you like shit, you didn't like it, they did something wrong, you had your own mess that you contributed to it, but at the end of the day, you still cared enough about that person, but they
right.
didn't feel that same way about you.
Right. And I'm a firm believer
Mhm.
in, if you love somebody, you will always love that person.
And you might not necessarily need to be with them.
And that's the rest of it. That's the part that people, because I talk to men and they're like, oh, you still talk to some of your exes, you still cool. Yeah, we cool. I love them. I love them, but
That's
I
the fight
will
me and my son
not be
had.
with them in that way again.
Yeah, but see, that's the ongoing discussion. Like me and my son were talking about this yesterday, and his attitude is, "Oh no, I don't ever want her to speak to like any males at all." And I'm like,
She gotta go to work.
Right, yeah, you like she's got to be around a male at some point. And
Right.
my attitude is, if you don't trust your woman to have a male friend that you know about, what about all the niggas you don't know about? Because she's not going to exist in a bubble and never have any interactions with any men at all.
Right.
And like our whole lives, humans in general are designed to be social beings in general. So if you can't trust your woman to have a healthy relationship that doesn't involve sex with another male, how do you ever expect her to be a helpmeet to you in such a way that you can grow? Or how do you expect to be? Like, I think like my interaction with you, you guided me in situations where you were like, nigga, you was wrong for that. You know that, right? In a situation I didn't quite understand that involved a woman. And you gave me a perspective I would not have seen from my male counterparts, and vice versa. I think that it's necessary for us to be able to handle ourselves as individuals in an appropriate way, in a non-sexual way, with people of the opposite sex.
Yep.
And if you can't, that makes me look at you sideways. What do you mean you can't have any male friends?
Right. What you mean you got to sleep with everybody you come in contact with?
And you like that makes me feel kind of weird. So every time you bump into a nigga, you got to sleep with him. Like, hold on now. And I know a lot of dudes are like, no, I don't want my woman to have no male interactions, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about completely disrespectful. This nigga coming in my house and he calling at 11, 12 o'clock at night and all that kind of stuff. No, that's obvious. But what I'm saying is, if there's somebody who's in her life that she speaks to on a regular basis that just happens to be male, okay, I don't give two shits.
And vice versa.
Oh, well, I don't want nobody that might be attracted to her. Man, you ain't the only one to notice she's attractive.
Right.
And
you shouldn't be that way.
And here's my thing. If you with a woman, and I know we just took a hard turn at Albuquerque.
I know we about to get off of here because we get.
Yes, we are, because this feels like something else. This might have to actually be cut off and start over. But if you're with someone that's attractive physically, and that person can't have interactions with other people without it always leading down that path, that's not them. That's the person you're with. Right. And you don't need to be with that person anyway, because they have no self-control. Right. Period.
and it's a form of controlling, when you control who they talk to, who they can't talk to, what they, look like, what they, all of that.
And you end up rationalizing situations like what Diddy did in the first place.
That's right. It's on her. She should have never dressed like that when she met him. Like, okay. The reckoning and rationalization. We've been all over the place. I don't even know what y'all got out of this, but we did some stuff. There's some stuff we touched on today that we're gonna go deeper into next time, especially the therapy thing. I think we'll do the therapy piece next time.
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, talking about therapists, what we can and can't do, what we, what
therapists
TV
and therapists and those who claim to be.
Woo! Therapists and mental health advocates. I'm gonna put that.
I like that. Yes. Let's say
okay, that'll be the next one.
I like
okay, but this is a two-parter. So thank y'all for watching so far. We're back. We are on the scene and the screen. So like, subscribe, follow, share. Remember, all the compliments come to me.
And I'll take all the hate. I don't mind.
Yes, he got it. But I'm a watch it, because I don't want him to rain down on nobody. So thank y'all for watching another episode of People's Perspective and the Pulse, and we will see y'all next time. Thank you again for watching People, Perspective, and the Pulse. Reminding you to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, bring a friend, and let's do it again. Thank you again. Bye.